Okay, so today we're going to talk about vitamin B12. And vitamin B12 is kind of interesting because it doesn't have an upper limit, but the RDAs for vitamin B12 are for males about 1.8 to 2.4, and for females it goes between 1.8 to 2.8 depending on the life stage. So usually pretty close to about 2 micrograms a day. Vitamin B12 is important because it helps to maintain nerve cells and it assists in the production of DNA and RNA and other genetic materials. It works with B9, which is sometimes called folic acid, or folate, to make blood cells and to help iron kind of do its job. It also works with folic acid to make same. I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to say it, but it affects your immune functions and your mood. Vitamin B12 works with vitamin B6 and B9 to control the level of homocysteine in your blood. And homocysteine is something that helps you to know if you have heart disease. They haven't been able to figure out if it causes heart disease, but if you have too much of it in your blood, it's a good indicator that you will have heart disease. Vitamin B12 only comes from animal sources. So fish, shellfish, dairy, organ meat, especially liver and kidney, eggs, beef, or pork are all really good sources of vitamin B12. But for those who don't eat meat, there are supplements and like fortified cereals, things like that to help. Symptoms of a deficiency in vitamin B12 are fatigue, shortness of breath, diarrhea, nervousness, numbness, tingling in your fingers or in your toes. A deficiency in vitamin B12 can cause severe nerve damage. It's pretty rare though, outside of the elderly. Most people are able to get enough vitamin B12 from what they eat, but because the elderly they have less stomach acid, which is what we use to absorb vitamin B12, so they're not able to absorb it as well. And also their diets are usually a little bit different once they get older. But some other people who are at risk for a vitamin B12 deficiency are vegans and vegetarians because they don't eat meat. People who have problems with absorption, such as those with Crohn's disease, pancreatic disease, those who've had weight loss surgery or take certain medicines that alter your absorption are at risk for a vitamin B12 deficiency. Helicobacter pylori is an organism that causes ulcers in the intestines, and it damages the stomach cells that make intrinsic factor, which is used for vitamin B12. So people with eating disorders or HIV, diabetes also are at risk for vitamin B12 deficiency. Taking supplements for vitamin B12 is good when you are a vegetarian or for the elderly, it's good. There's no UL. But when you're taking other B vitamins, it's really important that you take all of the B vitamins together, because sometimes when you take them for a long period of time, they can cause an imbalance in the other B vitamins. And especially if you're taking like folic acid, or that's vitamin B9, it can mask the symptoms for vitamin B12 deficiency. And so when you don't know that you have the deficiency, it can cause severe nerve damage. So just make sure you talk to your doctor about taking vitamin B supplements. And I found a study, I found this study on medicalnewstoday.com, and it talked about how vitamin B12 deficiency in pregnant women can cause a higher risk of diabetes for their baby. So usually those who are deficient in vitamin B12 generally have a higher BMI, which causes the low birth weight of the baby with a high cholesterol. And these babies have a higher insulin resistance and an increased risk for type 2 diabetes. They also talked about the importance of leptin. And when there's excessive weight, there is increased leptin. And this increased leptin can cause leptin resistance, which will lead to overeating, because leptin is what helps us know to slow down. And when we overeat, we gain weight, which causes insulin resistance and an increase for type 2 diabetes. Dr. Anthony Sunil from the website, he said that either B12 drives fat accumulation in the fetus, and this leads to increased leptin, or B12 actually causes chemical changes in the placental genes that produce leptin, making more of the hormone. So when there's not enough B12, it causes more of the hormone. It says that since B12 is involved in methylation reactions in the body, which can affect whether genes are turned on or off, they suspect it to be the latter case. Just a little aha moment that I had. In Moses, chapter 2, it's talking about the creation and how God has given us all of the fruits and the herbs and the meat so that we can eat and we can have what we need to sustain ourselves and to have all the things that we need. And in reading this, in studying about vitamin B12, I definitely was really excited about increasing my meat consumption, because that is my favorite food group, is meat. It's my favorite. But God has also given us plenty of other ways for us to get nourishment. And in Doctrine and Covenants, it says, "Flesh also is a beast, and of the fowls of the air, I, the Lord, have ordained for the use of man for thanksgiving. Nevertheless, they are to be used sparingly." So it is important for us to get our animal food sources in, but they don't need to be the biggest portion on our plate. So in conclusion, I would suggest or recommend to just keep animal products in your diet. Make it simple. Take your supplements if you need them, but don't overdo it on your B vitamins, because that vitamin B12 deficiency. If it's covered up, it can lead to really bad nerve damage. And so that's why we need to include vitamin B12 in our diet is for our nerves. But that is all I have for today. Thank you, and have a good day.